Hey guys, Clumsy here, and welcome back to ETS2. Still making our way from, how do you pronounce this again? We started off in Ploče last episode. We're making our way towards Pécs, I think, something along those lines. And we are more than halfway there. And we were doing Q&A in the previous episode. I'm recording this right after that one, so I might not have read any of the comments yet, but please do continue commenting so I can get back to them after a while. Right, anyway, let us get started. We ended up the last episode on a cliffhanger. Bit of a cliffhanger with a question, if you remember. The question from Jay went something like, what is the dumbest rule you've been forced to follow? Ooh, Clumsy Trucker! Hey, bro! Nice truck, nice trailer. Alright. What's the dumbest rule you've been forced to follow? And I guess, and what I mentioned was, and I'm just going to repeat the entire thing for those who are just watching this here. I grew up with a family that started from. My parents started out very poor. Yeah, they were given great opportunities though, so they became doctors and they were able to save up and give us a very good life. But during their time, they had to really struggle, and so they had some rules and some learnings from a scarcity mindset because they didn't have enough food on the table. That was a problem before. And so they came up with all these different techniques to make sure that they had something to eat. Make sure that the food on the table didn't all go up in their siblings' tummies and that they had enough for their own. But some of that carried over to us, even though we didn't need it anymore, because we had as much food as we needed, as we wanted. And actually, I was very big when I was little because I was eating too much. There was this particular culture, not only in our family, but in Filipino families in general, where we say something along the lines of, you should always finish your food. And in a way you can think about it, it kind of makes sense, but it also doesn't. I grew up with that rule and I never contradicted it. I just thought about it as something that is something that is law, it's something you don't question, something that is just the way it is. Finish your food. And so that actually got ingrained in me until now I have that mindset. Whenever I order out, for example, whenever I eat something, whenever I buy something, I would always have to finish it. And it's such a hard thing to get rid of, that habit. And it's not practical anymore. I mean, I understand where it came from. It came from a time when food was scarce. So every bit of food you have on your plate, you would want to not waste. And you would want to eat that. Otherwise, you would grow hungry. You would starve. But through time, in our era, with the life my parents were able to give us, we didn't need to live in that kind of mindset anymore. And so what happened was I grew very big. I grew up to be, I think around, what was my peak? I don't recall, 220 pounds. And I'm 5'10", so I don't know, around 170 centimeters. So I think I got into the obese BMI, something along those lines. So I grew very big because I always had that mindset that I have to finish what I eat. And that goes for every meal. Like, I don't know, if it's lunch, whatever's on the plate, I finish. If it's, I don't know, a bag of chips, I finish everything. And so I got very big, and thankfully I was able to somehow overcome that. And I told that story in a different Q&A. My love story and how I got fit for the sake of love. Or adolescence, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, you get the point. So it was kind of difficult. Until now, I still have that. And whenever I order something, I have to finish it. Otherwise, I would not feel full. And before they even had if you don't finish what you're eating, the amount that was left on your plate, that will be the number of pimples on your future wife. Something along those lines. So you have to clean your plate, finish up your plate so that no spots will be left, so that you will have a very smooth wife. And I guess that's why Mrs. Clumsy is super smooth. No, because I finished everything. But yeah, that was what we were taught. But for me nowadays, I don't think of it that way. But I still think of it like I got conditioned that I'm not full if I haven't finished everything yet. Like, the only moment where I would check myself if I'm full or not is if the plate is empty, if the plate is finished. If it's not yet finished, then I'm not yet full. That's just the rule. And lately I have to really work on that, because I cook my own meals during lunch. And I would try to limit what I cook so I don't overeat. And sometimes I tend to cook too much because I'm not very good at estimating. But because I cooked it, I would want to finish it. And sometimes it's not really good for one meal. Sometimes it's also already good for 2 meals. But I would still finish it, so I would end up feeling very bad, very I feel like I'm going to throw up kind of feeling afterwards, because I ate too much. But I don't realize that, because during that time I'm still like, the plate is not yet finished, so I still have to eat. And Mrs. Clumsy always tells me about that, it's like, aren't you full yet? Don't eat everything in one go. And you know how you normally would want to cook? Is there a plane? No. Normally you would want to cook in a way that you cook by batch, so you cook once for multiple meals. I have a very hard time doing that because I tend to finish everything in 1 or 2 meals. If something should last for a week, I don't know, maybe I finish it in 2 days. Or if something should last the entire day, I finish it in 1 meal. Because I have that habit of finishing everything, because I learned it when I was a kid. And that is just such a dumb rule to follow nowadays. And I guess I kind of got that rule, absorbed that rule in the wrong way as well. The entire concept of that is to not waste any food. But sometimes eating too much is also wasting food, right? It's gluttony. It's you don't really need that food. You just feel bad afterwards. Just feel sick afterwards. So actually eating it is wasting it. But yeah, I got so conditioned to eating everything that I have to really be conscious of how I do it. That I need to stop. I need to check myself. Do I really need to eat this? Am I really full? Am I not really full yet? They even say, right, you have to stop before you feel full, because there is a certain amount of time that it takes for your stomach to send the signals or something. Ooh, nice photo opportunity. Also very nice ground textures there. It does seem a bit repetitive, the cracks, but I kind of like it overall. That might be care of Project Next Gen, huh? It's nice. So yeah, I'm still trying to learn from that, and actually I think I will apply that again this time, because I'm cooking for lunch after I record this, and I'm cooking for until dinner, and I think actually it can last for 3 meals if I'm totally honest, but I think I will finish that in 2 meals, because I hate leaving something I hate leaving food on the table. And even though I can just as easily pack it up, seal it up for tomorrow, I would rather finish it up. One, because I'm lazy, I don't want to have leftovers and have to store it. I want to finish them all, so that's part laziness. But it's also part of my upbringing, my habit that I learned because of that darned rule. I hate it. I totally get where it came from, but I don't think it's applicable anymore. Nowadays, where food is mostly, in most countries, very accessible, you have to really mind what you're eating. Otherwise, you would really grow big. So it's a bit challenging in that manner. Man, look at this beautiful town. Feels so real. All the cars parked like that, and just all the houses grouped together. The only thing that's missing are the people. The pedestrians. Stop. Okay. Don't tell me you're going as I go. Okay, good. Bit weird, but fine. Thank you for that. Look at that beautiful sky, huh? Goodness, that is amazing. So yeah, that's probably the dumbest rule I remember that I've been forced to follow. And I hate that it still plays a role in my life right now, because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make logical sense anymore. So let me know if you have that same tendency. This is also why the only way that I will not overeat so much is by not buying too much groceries. Like, if I buy all the stuff I need, like, I don't know, snacks, chips, and I tell myself, okay, I will reserve these chips for the weekend when it's time to chill with Mrs. Clumsy, when we're watching a movie or something. It would never make it to the weekend. I would finish it that same day when I got the groceries. And it's just, I don't know, maybe it's a discipline issue as well. But yeah, I tend to want to finish all the stuff that is there. So the only way for me, for now, how I work with that is to make it not be there in the first place. So I tend to not buy so much in bulk, maybe at most a week's worth, a week's supply. But I don't buy all the stuff I need. So I try to keep our fridge, our cupboards as empty as possible. Because if something's there, that something will get eaten as soon as you can say hello. But yeah, that's a problem. And it amounts to becoming bigger for me, becoming more unhealthy, losing more money because I tend to buy more. Yeah, so take self-discipline out of the equation and make systems work for us. That's also something I learned by listening through all these podcasts. Self-discipline is a hoax. If you rely only on self-discipline to get you somewhere, you will not get very far. Self-discipline is very limited. It's very easy to rationalize, to defeat self-discipline. And yes, of course, to a point it's helpful, but the way you get something done is to not rely on self-discipline, it's to automate it. It's to automate things as much as possible. Leave things out of your control so you don't have a chance to, even if your self-discipline gives way, you are not prone to making a mistake. Like where I learned this is, for example, with regard to money. Like what they say is to automate the investments, like put the money outside when you get your paycheck, put the money automatically in whatever retirement or investment vehicle you are getting into. Please stop, thank you. So you don't have to consciously transfer the money yourself and maybe be tempted. Oh, what if I just spend this on a new graphics card? What if I, instead of saving this up for my retirement, I just, maybe get a Ryzen 3rd Gen? And that's very tempting. So don't tempt yourself. Don't play with fire. As soon as you get your money, transfer it out. Do not let control be part of the equation. Okay, it doesn't have the stop here. I think this border control is fake. Interesting. Or maybe it's over there, I don't know. Croatia. Auf Wiedersehen, there you go. Au revoir. We are leaving Croatia and entering Hungary, I believe. There we go. Let's have a read at that sign. Magyarország. I'm guessing that's Hungary. I have no clue. You guys let me know. So you go straight through here, pass through some kind of checkpoint, and be on our merry way. Getting a lot of stutters here as well. Probably some old models being loaded up. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like fake borders. We don't have that border checkpoint where you stop and wait for a few seconds. But I'm not sure. Is Croatia not part of the EU? Or maybe is Hungary is part of the EU, looks like. Because I saw those signs, that sign with the stars, with the blue-black background. That means Hungary is part of the European Union, right? But I guess Croatia isn't. That's why there was a checkpoint, a border. Okay. Bro, go. Thank you. Alright, how far are we? 53 kilometers. I think we can still do another question, one or two. Alright. What's one thing you learned this week? Nothing about you being sick and taking rest when needed. Why not? Learned a lot of things this weekend because I was able to listen to a lot of my audiobook, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a must read, must listen to. And I remember my brother, we're only two in the family, and I'm the younger. So my older brother, gave me that book, I remember. Years and years ago, like, I don't know, more than 10 years ago probably. But back then, I was not ready for such kind of things. And I if you guys remember the Q&A on the self-help and personal improvement, yeah, he gave me that book during that time when I was not yet into that kind of thing. And I guess it's a normal phase of life as well. I even remember, have you guys watched Ali Wong, the comedian? She has like Netflix, the pregnant Asian lady doing stand-up comedy, Ali Wong. She has a line where she says something along those lines, where like when you hit your 30s, you start reading self-help books. And it's very true. It's very, very true. I only started getting into self-help / personal improvement when I hit my 30s. But yeah, it's been very enlightening for me, getting the knowledge from other people and not needing to reinvent the wheel, learning from their mistakes, learning from their experiences, and stepping up. So yeah, I've learned a couple of things very interesting. And in a way, you can think of them as common sense. Like if you just listen to them now, they're like, that's common. Like everyone knows that. Maybe everyone knows that, but not everyone practices it. And even if you read the book, it's not automatic that you practice it. And even if you do practice it, it's not automatic that you don't forget it. So we need constant reminders and constant practice in our lives. But yes, some of the things I've learned so far with that book is to be proactive. And that's a very common term. That's one of the common words that you use when you want to say something nice about your job. I am a proactive person. But it means so much more than what we think of it. It's owning up. What I like about it, there are some very quotable quotes, but what I remember is at least being proactive is taking the responsibility for everything that happens. Or not really everything that happens, but taking responsibility for our own reactions, because responsibility, the word itself is responsibility. It's your ability to respond. And if being a proactive person means taking responsibility, like responding through your own ability and not just giving it away. And I know I'm not really explaining this very well, but bear with me. It's if you're a reactive person, that's the opposite of being proactive, then you are abdicating. You are giving away your responsibility. You are giving away your ability to respond. And that's when you start saying, oh, if only this were to happen. Oh, he made me do it, or I need to do it. Like, things just happen to you and you have no control over them. So you don't have an ability to respond. So it's just, and that's just an excuse. And we are very prone to that. I myself am very prone to that. So when I read this chapter, the first habit being proactive in taking responsibility for your actions, it's just, wow, that is so powerful. Like, everyone probably has heard this before. Like, it doesn't matter what happens to you. What matters is how you react to what happens to you. And that is the night and day difference. That is how you separate the people who thrive versus the people who just suffer. And he gave this beautiful example of one guy, a Jewish guy who was a prisoner in the World War, prisoner in the Nazis, in the Jewish camps. And that arguably that would be one of the worst situations you could find yourself in, right? Being a prisoner there, not knowing how long you'll get to live, all the atrocities that can happen. But this person, even though he was living in one of the worst situations you can think of, he did not let that deter him, because he knew that how he handled and how he thought of that situation was going to be the difference of him living or suffering or thriving. And so he made his own mind his sanctuary, and he became this like man of peace, man of enlightenment, if you could say. So much so that even the guards were like envying him. Like, he was the source of wisdom for everybody. And so it just goes to show that it's not the situation that determines whether you are happy or sad or what you make of it. It's your reaction to that situation. And so being proactive means taking responsibility, admitting that you have the power to react. You don't have the power to solve everything, but you have the power to react in however which way you choose. And he details that like different problems, there are problems that are directly affecting you and you can do something about. There are problems that are indirect, so the people that are affecting other people, and there are problems that are out of your control. And each of those kinds of problems have different ways of approaching them. Like, there's this famous quote from Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Like this prayer to, I'm going to butcher it, but something along the lines of doing our best on things that we can control, and living with what we cannot, and having the wisdom to know the difference. You know that famous quote, you probably heard that before. That is very true, and the book highlights that and applies that. So I hope I did it even just a bit of justice. But yeah, that's one of the things I'm learning right now. I'm so in love with that book. I absolutely recommend it to everybody. All the people I've been listening to, they all have read that book one way or another, and they always refer to it time and time again. Because it's not only for business. These are life principles. So whatever you do, wherever you are in life, this is something that everyone can take advantage of. Anyway, enough of that. So that's one of the most important things I've learned this week. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that little trip. We made it 800 plus kilometers, no scratch, very nice view. Thanks for watching. Thanks for riding with me. Hope you enjoyed that little monologue, and let me know what you think. All right, subscribe, like, comment, share, spread the love. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and Clumsy Trucking. Bye bye.